good morning or good afternoon. And do you know what? Usually I'm like, well, if it's nighttime, you can watch this late. But if it's nighttime, you're watching this like, I don't think it's Friday evening anywhere. Is it? Hmm. If you're watching this in the middle of the night, go to bed, babes. It's just us. This is a video. It'll be around tomorrow. Um,
Absolutely.
but what we're going to be doing today, it's the web dev folks. I've promised to go ahead and walk through some of the Flexbox lessons with you all because Flexbox is hard. It's conceptually hard, isn't it? Hello. But before we get started, we've actually got a question about something I'm terrible about. So I thought oh, that's not fair. We've got a question about regex, which I
Ooh.
usually remember I have to answer a phone call, or I usually remember that, oh, there's a I've got to make a cup of coffee right now when regex comes up. Um, so they're very powerful tools, which I studiously avoid. But Leonardo, which is a gorgeous name, is saying, "Hey, can you explain reuse patterns using complex group on the red? Could you let me know? Let me know, like I'm going
Sure.
to be answering this. What lesson number was that? So we'll
Let me
answer this regex question. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. I'm
I'm
just gonna
excited
see
to
if I
be a
can.
rubber duck here.
Got it.
You got it. Oh,
Cool.
w-
What I'll do is I'll throw up a link in the chat if I may.
yeah, yeah.
And
And for those of you who are working through the web dev program, you're like, what's a regex? It is a enduring mercy that we don't have to do these yet. They're very, very powerful, like little programs that feel like math problems.
I think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
that's fair. The way I would summarize them is a tool for finding patterns in strings. Again, this is taking a lot of JavaScript jargon out there, but we've got these strings of characters, and we use regexes as tools to be able to match patterns in them. So I've got my screen ready to share. Shall
Yeah,
I?
yeah,
Shall we go through this one real quick?
yeah. Yeah, let's do it. I'll
Awesome.
be your rubber duck and just be like, sorry, you what?
Let me just fix my screen so it's not cut off. I've had this problem in the past where I share too much. I hope no, that looks terrible.
I love that where you're like, I have a problem where I overshare. I'm like, oh, babe, me too.
So I hope.
Kinjal points out that, like, you know what, Ramon, this was a really good way to explain because we do strings too.
Oh yeah, awesome.
In HTML, if you do a p tag and a p, that text is a string. Or when you pass in, yeah. Oh, and gosh, on our social on Thursday, we passed in the string of the year.
That's right. That's
Yay.
right. Awesome. So what we've got here is a string with repeated numbers. We've got 42, 42, and 42. And what we want to use is a regular expression to be able to match the first 42 and that exact same pattern 2 more times, right? So what I'm going to do as always is do a console log and see how this looks so far. We got a string that says 42, 42, 42. We've got a regex that has the content. It's going to match change. And we've got a result to check whether that regex is matched in that string. So let's do a result, console log of our result, and we're going to get false because change is not present in our regex. So far, so good. What we can do is match. Let's match those 3 sets of digits. The way I would do that is with the digit wildcard, one or more of the digit wildcard, saying like, hey, is there at least one or more digit together? Yes. Let's separate that by a space. So another set of digits, also true. Another set and a third set of digits, also true. But is there 4 sets of digits? No. There's only 3 sets.
Okay. So, because, and this is me cheating, I went ahead and let my soul leave my body when you were like, let's walk through this regex. I'm like, cool. I'm just going to mentally go someplace else where it's quiet, where there's a stream for a moment. Can you talk me through this one more time? What does that opening slash do?
Yeah,
The start of your little tent.
sure. These 2 forward slashes are the way of telling JavaScript, hey, the content inside here, this is a regular expression.
Okay, so hang on. I'm aware I'm reversed in the camera. So when I see when I see
When you see a
that
forward
one,
slash, yeah,
cool. Starting a regex or finishing a regex. So for the web
correct.
development people, a little bit like our pointy braces. Like, hey, we're starting. This is going on.
Yeah.
Um, and then with our backslash,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be the
This is
individual, like what's going on in that individual character space.
yes. These two can be treated as one. This is we're saying, hey, the backslash is saying, hey, treat this next character as the symbol for the kind of character we're going to have, which in this case is a digit, a
Cool.
number.
So forward slash, yo, we're doing regex, or woof, we're done with regex. And then that backward slash is, here's the D, like, here's what I'm going to be asking you for.
Yes.
Cool, cool, cool. And then the D, so I'm going to be asking you for a digit.
Yep.
And the plus is like, you know what? It's going to be more than one.
Exact. One or more.
One or more. Whoa. So
Got to be very
because
specific.
zero is
Like
always an always option, isn't it? So if it's a
that's with
digit,
the that's with
no digits is
the
an option.
star. Exactly.
Oh, sorry.
That's star is like 0 or more.
Yeah.
Plus is 1 or more.
Everything's fine. And do you know what? We've got some of the folks in your learners asking some really, really good questions. So, hey, could we do something like backslash? So, hey, heads up, I want some digits. So
Yeah.
backslash D, hey, heads up, we're doing digits. And then +3, could we specifically say, I want to see 3 of these or 3 or more? Or what?
I don't think that would work. I think so. To what Kinjal is very correctly asking is, hey, can we have this pattern match 3? Oh, sorry, maybe it is with a. Sorry,
Blocky babies. Blocky
I see.
babies being the technical term for those square brackets.
So I think what we're matching here is a character 3 with the blocky babies. I think I could be wrong. I think what we're asking here is, could we have this,
So
which
specifying
is
3.
specifying that there's 3, but we want to take that a step further because we want to have. And again, I'm absolutely horrible at regular expressions.
But that's fine. Like, it's okay. Oh gosh, Ivan. Ivan's putting out, it's like, yeah, Jess. I mean, chill. That backward slash, like these slashes feel like a lot like escape characters in HTML. Oh, good. Because again, I had just been sort of graying out where I was like, cool, forward slashes and backslashes. I'm going to continue to leave the room when regular expressions come up. Do you know one thing I want to point out is I know a lot of, oh gosh, and Fadila's saying, I might maybe use 1,3 instead in these wiggly braces.
Do that. We do that.
And it's difficult because with regex, it'll just be like false. And you're like, false because I did it wrong or false because it's false?
Well, I think what we can do here is if I may jump the gun just a touch, because yes, as Leonardo said, we want to use grouping. So let's
Yeah.
talk about grouping for just a sec, because as what I wanted to get at was, yeah, this is a way of matching 3 sets of digits, right? Each separated by a space. But with grouping, what we can do is say, hey, let's put some smooth brackets around this one. Nothing changes. And what we can do then is say, hey, this we've captured into a group. So this is what the smooth brackets do. They'll say, hey, let's catch this in a group, and then say, all right, I want to use that group again by using the backslash and then the number for that group. Now, how is that number assigned for the group? It's assigned in the order that we declare them, which sounds a bit weird. But what I'm getting at is we've got this set of digits captured inside a group here. So it's the first group that we've captured. So inside we'll have \1 and another \1 to tell us, okay, we've now captured 3 sets of digits. Let's look at our exercise real quick. Oh, let's see if it does this without the plus.
Without the plus.
Without the plus here, I think that would only match 1.
And actually, while you're doing that, I'm going to cheat and answer a super relaxed, easy question because these are my favorite questions, aren't they? So Samurai Yun, hi Yun, good morning or good afternoon or sup, I think is time zone on us. What is the best and most easy language to build a game? It depends. Isn't that brutal? Isn't that so? A lot of like proper console games these days are made on what I would consider reasonably challenging to learn programming languages, just because they're kind of low level, huh? Like C++ gets real challenging for beginners. It gives you so much power. I might lovingly and gently steer you towards the web. Oh gosh, I'm shocked. A bias for that. But JavaScript might be a really nice way to start just because there's a lot of resources to learn it. Python might be a really good place to start because there's a lot of really beginner friendly resources. So, really, it's all about thinking, what do I want to do? Where does it want to live? What's the smallest version of a game I can build? And then looking up what kinds of ways might I be able to build this now that I have an understanding, and what languages are there the most resources for? So it's a cheat question, isn't it? Where it's like, haha, I am. Oh, Fadila was trying to answer the question for somebody else. Wasn't trying to be
Oh,
like,
thank you.
so that's my fault.
All fine. So, um, so we've got our regular expression here, right? It matches a set of digits and then two more sets of that same of those. Sorry, two more sets of those digits. Let's run our tests because we want to use capture groups in the indregex to match a string that consists of only the same number repeated exactly 3 times, separated by single spaces. So that sounds good. Let's run our tests.
Starlight's pointing out that, like, our shared practice of calling regular expressions regex makes it sound pretentious. I'd go ahead and go a step further and saying, really, referring to them at all is like calling out a data. One thing I want to say is I know a lot of really, really deadly serious programmers who aren't super great at regex. So people who've been doing this a million times. It is valuable. It's really, really valuable to know. And Ramon, you can steer me wrong if this isn't always the case, but I've worked on a lot of teams where you'll hear back in the dim days when you all worked in the same office, you'd hear somebody go, "Hey, who's good at regex? Susan, was it you?" And that kind of thing is
Yep.
absolutely normal and it wasn't always my voice yelling, but it was often.
Oh, I've been that person a ton of times who's asking for help with regex with regular expressions. So let's look at. We've run our test, but check it out. It failed. Our regex should not match the string 42 4 times. What's going on here? It's being matched with 3 sets of digits. So there's one match here and another match here. But if we read the exercise, it should be repeated exactly 3 times.
Ooh. So this is going to be chill as long as there's 42s. Well, not even 42s, as long as there's digit sets of
Yep.
at least 3 sets of digits of 1 or more.
Exactly. But what we wanted to do is to only match those 3. So this is perhaps cheating a little bit, but what I did to solve this was to say, okay, fine, let's use anchors. So we've got 2 anchors. Remember, one is the carrot, the
Little
chapeau.
hat.
Yeah. To say, okay, the string must start here. And we can use the other anchor, the $sign, to say, and it must end here. So this string must, so whatever string we're matching that has exactly 3 sets of that digit will begin and end with those 3 sets of digits. Let's give it a
And
try. And there we go.
way,
Pat pat.
everything's fine. And I was asking, well, what is it matched for instead of 3? I hope, yeah, sorry, I know there's a little bit of delay on the video. I hope
Oh,
we
it's
just
it.
answered that. So yeah, just because we didn't say, wait, stop, and wait, go.
Yeah.
Starlight had to learn regular expressions to use search engines in that, because this was a thing, wasn't it? And even today, there's a couple of like little wiggly tricks with search engines to get like more. But back in the 90s were a dark time. You say that. There was a lot less stuff to worry about, wasn't there? Possibly by virtue of search engines being very difficult and keeping us busy.
Yep.
Would it be okay to go ahead and come out of regex for a little bit and look at
Totally.
Oh, we've got a couple little questions. So, you know what? There must be a way to say repeat 3 times. No, I think we got that. Maybe?
I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
give. What if I grouped this? I'm just gonna give this a try.
Yeah.
What if we grouped it like this, and we used the curly brackets to say there are 3 sets of this? What if I use the brackets? I believe the brackets should help us out. I could
Oh,
be
one's
wrong.
saying, yeah. One's ahead of you, and one's like, hey, I think I know what's going on here. I think it's yeah.
Yeah, but oh, there we go.
Ah,
Nice. So there, we've chunked these together, and we said match this 3 times. However, it could still match it 4 times. Let's give it a try. Okay. So in this example, we want to use capture groups.
cool.
So in
No,
theory, yes.
because capture groups, and
Yeah.
also, and it's such a cop out for me to say it, but also it doesn't work in other ways for mysterious reasons. We could absolutely dig them out, but it will betray my pledge not to swear on stream.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this little darling. Would it be a
Cool.
cheat to move and take a look at some Flexbox for a little while?
Yeah.
Just because I'm so sorry, my loves. We can come back at regex and we could do regex until I cry, which will be about 10 minutes. But unfortunately, or fortunately, really, I betrayed my absolutely lovely learners on the website and skipped the brutality, the cruelty, skipped taking a look at um, Flexbox. And for the like, I think somebody in the forum pointed out, like, ha ha ha, Ramon and Jess say they don't like CSS. I love CSS.
Same.
I'm just cheerfully not the best at it. And this is something that I am mumble years old. We came all the way down. We're going to the beta. And the nice thing about being mumble years old is I've just gotten to a point in my life where I'm really chill about enjoying things I'm not fantastic at. So like, oh no, I'm not great at art. Yeah, chill and do some art. And I've got CSS there now where I'm like, I'm not fantastic at CSS, but oh, it's really powerful and it's really quite nice.
I mean, I'm quite rubbish at CSS at Flexbox myself, but I love it, and I love CSS for it.
And I'm a trader because I really like, and we're going to be learning CSS Grid later on.
Cool.
I really like Flexbox, not just as oh, here's sort of the introduction to a technical way to render a mental model,
Yeah.
but also a warm up to, cool, we've introduced the idea of these real mental models, these mental models that we're going to render in light and pixels. And now we've got that sort of space in our brain, those highways that could say, oh, cool, what else can we render technically? Oh, Ephedra says, you know what? I was wondering why Free Code Camp doesn't mention the need to give image dimensions. So it's absolutely an option. And I think that it's going to tell us later on in the does it? I haven't double checked the beta curriculum for this, but I'm reasonably sure later on in the beta curriculum it'll say, hey, sometimes you want to set the height and the width of your image tags. So I'm reasonably
Totally.
sure we will. Oh gosh, this is starting us from the. And I actually kind of like that they make us do this all the time to give us sort of
Yeah.
that muscle memory, eh?
Yeah. I can tell you from a lack of muscle memory myself, I completely forget to do this. Forget to do the doc type.
Well, that's because you use VS Code, which is out to help you.
Yeah, a lot of these editors will generate these automatically for you. And I believe, just I could be wrong. Yeah, you're missing an
Oh
HTML
gosh, you're like,
element outside the head. Yeah.
look at that, where it's like, ha ha ha, this is so good because it teaches you muscle memory. I'm like,
You're fine.
oh,
Yeah,
we
there
got
you
that
go.
little yellow stripe. That yellow.
Oh, I haven't seen this before. This is really nice.
This is nice. So I think you hack this with your learners with the pat business. And I really like this because is it dopamine is the reward chemical you get when you've achieved something. And that green stripe is just I always like it where it's like a hey, go ahead and give yourself some of those brain chemicals. Like you're done, everything's fine.
Love it.
I mean, the pat is far more personable. So within our head tag, yeah. within our head tech, we're going to go ahead and set up real fast that kind of stuff we do. I believe it might have been Ephedrus who pointed out that we want to go ahead and do our character set early because it's got to be within the first, was it
Oh, yeah.
128?
Yeah, something like that.
And do you know what? I would have just cheerfully said, "Oh, you put it wherever you want," but best practices are best practices. And
Yep.
we're gonna so we put our care set right up there, and then we're also gonna come in and say we've got a name.
Set to viewport.
Oh gosh, I can make you read this to me while we
Yep.
go.
And we'll do content equals to width equals div. Oh, yeah.
So what does this mean?
For me, based on my experience, based on my laziness, I am a very lazy programmer. To me, this is just
The
to
best
say
kind.
it'll. To me, this is to say it'll look okay on mobile.
You are absolutely correct. So what this is saying is, and the viewport. Remember, the viewport is. It's easy to say the size of your screen, but the viewport's the size of the sort of window you're looking at. So you're a mobile. It's the size of your screen.
Yeah.
Here I am on a browser. Whoop, whoop. I can change my viewport size. And what this is saying is the stuff on this page, make it as wide as you have space on the viewport for.
Yeah.
And then when you look at how tall to make it, keep the scale 1 to 1. Don't stretch this. I like this. Everything. We're going to hustle through this. Title, 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 title. And remember, this is the title that shows in the tab for our user. It's not the title that we spell, right?
And we'll call it perfect.
The laziest programmers love copying and pasting.
Absolutely. I do that all the time.
And then
we'll have a link element.
Yeah, remind me what we're doing with this.
And we're going to link our CSS. Is it SRC or is it href?
Right? I was just blanking on that too. Let's try one then the other.
Yeah, let's do that.
These are self-closing, so they can't hurt us.
And folks in the chat, if you know, please give us a shout. This is one of those things that's difficult to memorize.
Cool. Ref. Oh yeah, because we're throwing the link too.
Yes.
Maybe Kindle's out there like, y'all stop it.
Don't forget oh, sorry, my screen turned off for a second. But
oh gosh.
I'm fine. All fine. You forgot, a quote mark. Excellent.
We've got a question from Kindle that I think we might come to later in. So asking about align. So let's see if we cover that when we go through the lessons. And if we don't, we can go ahead and talk about that. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I see you and I'm not ignoring you. Cool. We get this sometimes. I love it. This is saying, hey, so I'm always keen to point out that the boot camp is you and me chilling out. The good people at Class Central giving us support and a platform and all of that, which is amazing. Oh, heck. People are pointing out that actually we forgot something and it passed us anyway. We missed the opportunity to do something the right way. But I do want to point out real fast that Free Code Camp is a separate organization and they're a nonprofit. So if you have the money, don't you spend money you don't have. And I donate on my other account, I promise. That it's a really nice thing to donate.
Yeah.
So hang on, let's go. Let's add this here just so we're doing it right. Oh,
it's already there.
Us. Very forgiving.
So we want to have a div with a class set to header in the body.
Let's go. Div with a class set to header. Div with a class set to header. Y'all, why might I not be delighted with the practice of making a div with a class set to header? I'm not saying it's bad, but why might that not be the way? Why? What else could we do? What's another alternative to making a div with a class of header? And why might that other choice be the better, be the more semantic choice?
Oh, yes, that's the word.
Starlight my heart. So Kindle's saying like the reason Jess is grumpy is semantics, which
Yep,
evergreen. And Starlight, sorry, we're both agreeing. Like, yeah. And Starlight's like, come on, do it header, do it Fedrus. And Fadilla, I love it because Fadilla's saying, well, you know what? We have an HTML element. We have a conceptual empty box. It's already called header. And I could go ahead. Oh, actually, I don't have a beautiful assistant today. My beautiful assistant is each of us. I'm going to keep typing. Could you grab off of the Class Central YouTube that that talk we got from back last year from Bruce?
Yes.
Because he uses a phrase that I think is really useful. He says, and he says it at the pub as well. It's very annoying. Oh, I can't. Can I do the voice? Built in beats bolt on bigly. And his point is, oh, if you've got something that works out of the box that they built into HTML for you, adding some extra faff, we don't need that. It's always better to go for the most streamlined, most semantic. But you're gonna see this a lot in the real world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've posted a link to Bruce's talk in the chat.
Oh. And he's on like social media as well. If you want to yell at him about how clever and cool he is.
Ooh, let's do it.
Oh no, don't link to Bruce's social media.
I will not.
I haven't checked it. He's a gentleman. I'm sure it's fine, but so we've got, what do we got? Div class header. Instead of using head. Hopefully this next lesson will be like, haha, psych, use header. Okay.
Looks good.
We're still doing setup, y'all. We're gonna this is good review, but shout if this is boring. Oh.
So we're gonna create a div element called with an ID set to gallery, and then in the gallery we'll create 10 IMG elements.
Cool. So div.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that oh gosh. Is it a oh no.
It's an ID.
Is an ID, it's hash to select it in. Oh gosh.
There we go. Yes.
And remember that IDs are unique. Okay, Ivan's like, look, this is a little bit more. We'll hustle real fast.
Yeah.
So the ID is set to gallery and then 10 image elements. Y'all know this. Y'all have done this a bazillion times. And what is the laziest way to do 10 images?
Sorry, Jess. Would you mind just scrolling up just a touch, because your code's just a bit. Sorry, scrolling down is just a bit cut off. Now it's more cut off, I'm afraid.
Oh god, is that a bit better?
Ah, that looks good. Yes.
Y'all are way too patient. Let me go ahead and squish this a little bit more, just so we've got fewer places for me to wander off.
All good.
Cool. So image screen, what do we have to have for an image screen, or else it is an internet crime? We need 10 of these.
Yes, 10 of them.
The image tag is self-closing, isn't it?
I'll look that up while you make 10.
Wait. No, I got it.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah, you're self-closing. Everything's chill.
Wonderful.
What is the laziest way to do 10 of these is control
and paste.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
10.
Does that make 10? I'm not even going to count. I'm going to make you count. When in doubt, computers are here to do our bidding, and we're free.
Wonderful.
Screen attribute. We're going to be the same. Oh, cool. So we're going to copy and paste this as well, but we're going to place the numbers with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Great.
Oh, come on. You took away my work. Everything's fine, though, because... Oh. I'm rubbish. Because I could just copy and paste this. And then I can copy and paste this whole big blob. We're going to go with... And Free Code Camp has opted to do the trailing slash and a self-closing tag. We, and when I mean we, you know I mean one of the learners who's more conscientious and lovelier, looked it up and said, oh, you know what? Best practices, you don't need that anymore. Super fast. Oh gosh, in the chat there's this fantastic discussion talking about, oh, are these header tags new? Oh yeah, they're kind of new. And you know what new means? They were in HTML5. Oh, someone remind me when HTML5 came out. Was it like 20 mumble? Like 20,
I want to say something like
13, right?
13, 14. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Back when the world was more innocent and more relaxed.
The new tags mentioned are called the semantic web semantic tags. Examples: main, header, section, article, footer to make your code very readable, especially for Google SEO web traffic. Didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Well, who else does it help? Not just so it's real semantic stuff is great for computers and
Yep.
machines trying to help people. And Google, not just Google, but I mean Google and DuckDuckGo and Bing and is Yahoo still a thing? Sorry, Yahoo. All use little tiny robots, little tiny programs that go out into the web and explore and come
Mhm.
back. So they love these semantic tags, but also assistive technology loves this. So if you're using a tab over control, a keyboard control, knowing, oh, cool, I know when the next article starts, or I know when the next button starts, lets you set that focus, or a screen reader. Ooh, star.
Here we go. The
What
rest
am
is
I
in
selecting for when
2014.
I say star? 2014. I'm not gonna say how many years ago because that's a lot of years ago, isn't it?
All
Oh,
good.
Catherine, you are never late, my love. This is the
Good
internet and
morning.
it's a Saturday.
Yeah.
Um, y'all fuss at me if you don't like me being overly familiar. I'm just a bit of a mom friend, and I think it's stuck like that.
Jess, you're wonderful and a delight to be with.
Like not everybody wants to be box sizing is it? Oh gosh, it's early
You
in the
wanna
morning.
use
Oh, it's the
a colon. Yeah.
and we're setting border.
Border dash
Box.
box.
I think this will show us something.
Don't
It
forget
hasn't
yeah.
yet. So what we're saying is the star is like, oh, Kinja. This is why I always ask before I explain it, because one of y'all is going to say it in a way that's perfect.
Ah, yeah.
The star is, hey, give me like select everything you could select. Yeah, it's one of these shortcuts. And it's true in JavaScript as well, isn't it? The star is like, hey, I'm cool with whatever you can use here.
Yeah. Pretty much. Or
And if
multiplication.
oh yeah. And Starlight, when you were talking about, well, I had to use some of these characters and some of these concepts from regular
Nine
expressions
yeah.
back in search, and then oh, Starlight, my heart. Starlight's like, babes, that's the wild card. You could use those in search engines where you're like, oh, I want stuff about bears, but anything about bears, give me that star. Oh, not always anything. I want something about pandas. Give me anything about pandas. That the star can be real useful here. So I think we've done this. I think we're gonna get this joyful green stripe. Yeah.
Nice.
Look at this. So
Cool.
Ephedrus very, very rightly pointed out that we can be doing this resizing of our images inside of our images tag. But what we're going to do is we're going to select the ID of gallery. Oh, heck. We're going to do it right. I mean,
Exactly.
we're not
Without the space.
necessarily going to do it right. We're going to grab all of those images
Mm-hmm.
and
Set their width to be 25%. Perfect.
hey.
Well, that's already looking loads better.
Oh, look at this lovely young man. Oh, and a whole class full of learner. I just assume that's a class. That could be a company or a conference. I'm just very, very learner focused right now. So I'm like, oh, of course, these are fantastic learners. Ooh, you know what? I had been saying we don't need these backslash. And Ephedrus, who I immediately trust, is saying, you know what? I think it might be good practice to go ahead and put those in. Like your browser is going to be fault tolerant. But it's a good practice. Like, yeah, and it keeps you in the habit of looking for that backslash, doesn't it? Most of the time your browser won't yell at you. So if you're very lazy, you could leave them off. But if you're very, very good, wait, I'll put a Fedrus on the screen so I can gesture to very, very good. You may want to include them. Yeah. So
Cool.
let's hustle. Let's also set the height.
Yeah. Don't forget the semicolon at the end of the
Oh,
lines as well. Don't want to throw you off your.
I mean, I'm consistently thrown off. That's what's the nicest thing about being me. Oh, okay. So now that the height is uniform, these boxes automatically want to come and sit next to each other. Oh, it's
Yeah,
like a
stretching the
friendly
images
lunch
a bit.
table.
Yeah.
It is
Love
stretching
it.
the images a bit. We want to sort that out, hey?
Yeah.
Because they were all different sizes when we started. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
bet money we're not gonna go 100% through Flexbox. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give y'all homework on a Saturday, which is durable proof that Ramon is a nicer teacher than I am.
Oh, I've given I the learners can tell you the regex homework I gave on Monday was also, there's a word,
Okay. So,
mean.
on one hand, Jess gives y'all homework on a Saturday, brutal, savage, but I will never make you do regex. So,
It balances out.
just when it comes time for favorite teacher day. Oh, but Ramon does the pat pat thing.
But Jess, you
But
are
regex.
and Jess, you are warm and inviting and
Hush, hush.
relaxed.
No, we could be nice to each other offline. They don't have to hear us just being rubbish all the time. But oh, I love this because this
Oh,
didn't give us the syntax. This doesn't say how to do it.
yeah.
But I
So
think I got. I was just bragging about how mean we were. Let's make the learners tell us because I've got a bunch of hot chocolate here. I could chill all day.
so we need
Either tell us what kinds of things we're going to put in here in plain language, so what these mean, or give me some of the code. I'm gonna
Mhm.
When it says target the do this to our body element, I think we're going to have a selector for all of the body, right? That feels, yeah. You know what? Starlight makes a great point where it's like, HTML5 will let you, but you shouldn't.
I love it.
And Christian, my love, my heart, thank you so much. Where you're like, yo, you know, you need to start with bot. Thank you. And what we're doing in here is we're getting rid of a margin.
Mhm.
So margin, you want to set it to
We want
0% would
Yeah, we
work.
can set it to 0 or 0%.
0 pixels is the same thing.
I think the one that I if I may,
Yeah, yeah.
the one that I see most commonly is just margin 0
Okay, just margin
without
because conceptually, nothing is nothing is nothing is nothing is nothing.
exactly.
Woof. So we've got our margins and the background color. I feel chill about that.
Yeah.
That feels we've got our semicolon, and we've got give me
EB.
EB of red. Oh heck. Only capital to yeah, Kindle. Look at and the challenge here is that we're like I know everybody's learning programming together, so me saying, "Oh, computers are a little bit rubbish," seems unkind. But computers are especially rubbish at a couple things. And one thing is there's always a delay on a broadcast. So Kinjal's a couple seconds of the past going 0. And you are absolutely right. We're just too fast for you. I love that Christian is like, just no thank you. I would
Mhm.
love a programming and actually Felina, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us on Thursday, she made a programming language called Hetty. And I'm working with her to get her to come back, and, like, getting her
Awesome.
scheduled for another she's brilliant. She made a computer, programming language called Hetty, which is made for learners. And you might say, "Well, why do I wanna learn an easy-to-learn computer language?" And Hetty's really cool because when you say, "Margin, no thank you," it's not the exact language Hetty uses, but it's Ramo, you're a language nerd, right? Like a human language nerd. A nerd in the most lovable sense.
I will take that only as a compliment.
Hetty, and I just learned this, and I absolutely, Hetty, it gets you used to programming in English because unfortunately, and very unfairly, almost all programming languages ask you to use English, which is we can have a whole political discussion about like, oh, you know, English is a global language on the web, isn't sustainable. It's not fair. Hetty lets you mix English and your target language. So if you're a Spanish speaker, you can use keywords in English and Spanish as you get used to programming in English. Or
Wow.
English and Brazilian, or English and Brazilian Portuguese. English. I cannot say enough cool things about Hetty, and I really like it because it's using this really normal human language to be like, it's not quite margin, no thank you, but oh, I would love a grammar school type language where you're like, border. Oh, if you could, it is Hetty. I'm gonna grab Hetty in a second and drop a link in it. HEDI, believe. Oh, you're gonna race me so I can.
Oh yeah, please.
If you could find the HEDY, if you search for Felina and Hetty programming language, I bet it'll pop.
I think I got it.
E7. Oh God, y'all are so patient with my foolishness. So Oh, fab. Heady code. I think Heady's just so exciting for could we do a Saturday sessions maybe between cohort? Because I'm going to ask you on the air, which is so do you want to keep doing a little bit of streaming just now and again? We don't have to like even when we're not. Yeah.
Please.
And we could play with Heady sometime.
I would love that.
Y'all, see, I keep being like, ha ha ha, I'm meaner than remote. I'm asking him for things out loud. Oh, font family as well. I'm asking for things in front of the learn because he can't say no to you.
I wouldn't anyway.
Font family. And
Very good.
remember, I'm not just saying this because I do it, but everybody makes typos all the time.
Oh, goodness.
Whoa.
All the time. Hey, you did it.
We've
Nice.
got our green stripe. We've got our brain chemicals, and we can go. Maybe we are just going to go through this whole thing. There's not too many. So this is,
padding.
Oh, let's talk about this because usually we've done selectors for headers before, right? And whenever we've done a selection for a header, it looks like this. My absolutely beloved learners, why are we using the class selection for the header here? Oh, I'm gonna squish my preview to take a look at why, and we've got the hint in here. Why are we using a class selector? Yeah, because Kinjal's got me. It's because instead of using a built-in header, we've bolted on. Oh, heck. No, of course it's not going to work. Stop it, Free Code Camp. We've got a class called header. We've sort of re-engineered something that already exists. Yeah. So we're using the class header, and we're going to pad you. We're going to go super fast. 32 pixels.
Yeah.
Background. Color. And one thing I really like about the beta curriculum, which is a little bit cruel, is it does this a lot. So you say, well, you know what? You've set the background a lot. I'm not going to tell you that you need to write background color for that.
Yep.
What? Oh, text align as well. Look at, and I was just bragging about how much I like this. I just automatically scanned for, so padding of the, I completely missed this plain language. And this is the exact kind of stuff that your boss is going to tell you. And
these are the kinds of instructions you get in real life as well. Like this is really handy.
The same way that computers were a mistake, real life is a mistake. So
you want center.
Yeah. Well, I really like doing this with two people.
It's chill, isn't it?
Well, it makes it easier to not read and try and do this at the same time.
So now it's flex time.
So let's talk about this. Flex is a one-dimensional CSS layout that focuses on the flow of the content. I love this because this lets me push one of my favorite biases, which is programming overall. Programming is a concept. And when I say just, it sounds very unfair when I'm saying, oh, programming is just. Because it's not. It's complicated and hard. Just makes it sound easy. But programming is philosophy rendered in here. We're rendering philosophy in light, which I think is very exciting. We're taking word puzzles out of our head and we're turning it into light that we're beaming into other people's eyes. It feels very philosophical and very exciting to me. But if we don't want to use the word philosophy, I'm going to pick another word that means philosophy in a more technical. Programming is applying a grammar and a mental model. Yeah, yes. And then making beautiful, imaginary, real things. I mean, hopefully beautiful.
I mean, that's what a language is made up of in real life, isn't it? It's made up of syntax, semantics, and grammar.
Oh, damn. And I really like the sort of speaking something into existence of programming, isn't it? Where you're like, I've got something in my head. I'm going to use these words I've learned and these grammars I've learned the same way you would make a declaration of affection to a friend, or the same way you'd build an argument.
Absolutely.
Let's build an argument.
And that's, in fact, kind of what we're doing here, isn't it? We're kind of translating human spoken language into computer language.
And There's a
I
whole field of stuff. Do you know what the University Felina teaches at? Teaches a cognitive science master's. At
Ooh.
every 6 months, I mutter darkly to myself about wanting to do this cognitive science master's because it's human language and computer language and logic. Oh, y'all are going to ruin my life and cost me 10,000 euros, aren't you? Uh, so
So
what we're going to do is we're going to let's break this down. Flexbox. And this for my web dev learners, this is going to be like, Jess, you tell us this all the time. What? It's all about rectangles, right? Ivan, there's no drugs involved. This is us. I'm so sorry. I can't imagine us altered. Ooh. It's just a menace to the internet. So here I've been saying HTML is all about conceptual rectangles. And CSS is all about wiggling your rectangles. Flexbox is even more than that. Flexbox is like, hey, I want to make your boxes boxier. It's about making a container. And that's why our div was probably pretty important, wasn't it? So making a container. And now we're going to set some rules for our boxes that make them squishier and stretchier and wigglier.
love
You
it.
say, oh, Jess, that's garbage. None of those are technical terms. And I know. So to set an element, we give it display of flex. We're going to select our gallery ID.
Have we done other displays before, by the way?
I don't think we have it all. We've done displays to set size. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
And
I
we've
think
done displays with media queries, but that's way
mm,
different.
yeah.
So we've definitely seen the keyword display.
So we want to
So
create a
remember,
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Remember that. Oh gosh. Mm,
Everything all right?
No.
Ah, yes.
Remember that we set an ID of gallery here.
Yes, we did.
Where are you?
Line. I think it's
Line.
below the
Haha.
header. 13.
ID
There we
equals
go.
gallery. And galleries are cool because galleries are cool. IDs are cool because there's only ever supposed to be one on your page. These are unique.
Yeah.
So one per HTML file. So here, even though there's 10 items, there's 10 images within our gallery, that gallery box, that gallery div is unique.
Exactly. It encompasses the images.
And right now what we're going to do is we are going to speak a new mental model into existence. We're saying, hey, I want you to apply, and here it's not even a mental model, it's a technical model, or a one-dimensional CSS layout approach. We're going to apply our human mental model into a technical model. And we'll say, hey, I bet as soon as we see flex, something weird's going to happen.
Ooh.
Ooh, and I like this. I like just doing it instead of saying it. What we've done is we've set the Flexbox model to live inside our gallery ID.
So the way I like to think about it is that every item inside that Flexbox will be displayed flexibly.
It's going to try and squish those together using the logic it came built with. But I want to come back to us waffling about philosophy because this is such a beautiful way to say it.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to say early and often is oftentimes in computer science, we've got this idea. It's not even, hopefully it's not us, but you'll hear people who are already working tech say, oh, you have to have a passion for programming to work in pro. I got into tech because I was a teacher and I really wanted to pay my bills better. It is not cool that was not easier to do as a teacher. And something to address and campaign for when we've got free time. But you don't have to be a passionate programmer. No. But when you are programming, I love, and I would bully and enjoin and entreat and harangue you too. See it as taming your wild creativity. Like humans have been weird and creative since we came out of the trees, maybe came out of the seas. We're going to check our code. I'm not suggesting we are amphibian in nature necessarily. Look at me hedge my bets. I'm like, look, if you've got gills, that's your business. Flexbox can be thought of on 2 axes, and I really like this. Sorry, because human language can be seen on 2 axes. So I was about to say my boy Chomsky, which I think it's a very one-sided relationship. Um, so Chomsky, of course, you'll meet linguists who say, "Oh gosh, Chomsky, a lot of his work we want to update or view differently," but he was a really Elio's like, I think you mean my boy Chomsky. So Chomsky is a linguist who's also a political scientist. He's one of these people who's good at a bunch of things, and it's just unnecessary to have that much talent. He encouraged us in one writing to look at the idea of language fluency on an XY axis, one being sort of correctness, and one being sort of fluidity and confidence
Ooh.
around production. And I fell in love with that because when I learn languages, I'm like, here. Like I am confident as the day is long. I will chat, but I ain't great.
I'm definitely on the other side. It took me a long time to get on the other side, on that side with German, for example.
Oh, you were very, I'm not going to say it or I'm not going to write it unless it's right.
It was, yeah, I was very uncomfortable with, like, I could, you know, receive it. I could understand it. I could read it,
But
but
that's
speaking and writing,
natural. Like,
yeah.
and oh, you know what? That's something that Felina, when we get her, she's going to talk to us about because there are 4 skills in human languages, and I argue there's 4 skills in programming languages as well, and 2 of them are passive, and 2 of I promise we're going to get back to this in a second. This is actually important though. 2 of them are active and 2 of them
Absolutely.
are passive, and they're linked. So you've got reading and writing. Reading is passive and writing is active. And these are like, you're always going to be better at reading something, even in your home language, than you are in writing. Your writing skills are always going to lag behind your reading skills.
Hmm.
And with programming, I want to be really, really loud about that because we talk a lot about writing code and deciding what to write and designing. But really, the same principle applies. You're always going to be better. You should be better. Your skills for writing will always lag behind reading. So
Yeah.
focusing on these reading skills are so good for you. And in human languages, we've got the you're always better at listening than you are speaking, unless you're me. But I really like, oh, cool, we've got these linked skills. And in programming, we tend to ignore reading. I say,
Yeah.
not reading
Ye
the directions.
No, but you make a good point because I think that's something that, especially for me as a learner, was something that I struggled with a lot because, you know, I was writing a lot of code, but not reading a lot of code.
Because nobody ever tells you, like, oh, reading's important.
Yeah.
I get you to talk me through what we're doing because I talk about
Yes,
the
of
2
course.
axes and completely skipped, oh, dang, the 2 axes in Flexbox are actual, I mean, not physical, but like tap, tap, tap on the screen, are actual axes made of light. They're actual directional axes,
Axes?
axes in it.
Sounds right.
So I'm going to set a flex direction.
Set it.
Here, it's columns, uppy, downy, and rows, horizontal.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are our 2 axes.
And by default, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, please, please.
So by default, we can see that the column is in a row.
Mm.
Sorry, the column is in a row. The images are all in a row. That's because by default, the flex direction will be in a row.
Ah. So by default, it's row. So if we set this, we don't think anything's going to happen when we set that to row.
Exactly. We're setting it to be the default. But try a row reverse. Let's see what happens.
Oh, heck. What? So here we've taken our horizontal axes and said, oh, just flip that babby.
Mm-hmm. So
Babby
now,
being West Midlands for a small and beloved thing.
I think that sounds
Oh,
right. So exactly. So as we add elements to that flex box, they'll be added. If we're looking at this from a JavaScript array perspective, they'll be unshifted to the beginning.
ooh. Helios is encouraging us to be like, y'all get weird. And I'm like, we can't help it. So column does that. And I think column reverse is going to do the same conceptual thing. It's going to take what's at the bottom. Hang on, take a deep breath. We're coming all the way down.
Diving down.
These lovely young people. And I think if we column reverse, oh heck, these
And there
lovely
they
young
are.
people pop to the top.
Love it.
Let's you know what is this? This is devil. I'm gonna find out who these lovely young folks are. But we said row, we want to put it back the way it should be, or the way it naturally lies. And we're gonna bop on. Are we
Wonderful.
feeling okay about Flexbox as a concept? I mean, are y'all learn that we're gonna build a box? We're gonna say, hey, the mental model that we applied to this box here, a div, is Flexbox. And here are the special rules that live in the. Oh, Hada is suggesting, Himanshu or Hada is suggesting, or Himanshu Hada is suggesting flex direction. Let's get flex direction. Flex direction. Oh, yeah, I thought you were like, my personal fave is a specific one. Oh, no, this is your favorite
Selector.
property? Select?
Oh,
Yeah.
property, yeah.
Yeah. And when I say nerdy, I mean this with the most love in my heart as a big old nerd myself. And is nerd still gently pejorative? I hope it's not. What a delightfully nerdy thing to have a favorite thing for. I love this.
I can very much relate. Flex direction is super fun. So here what we're going to do is see what happens when we have too many flex items inside a container that's too small. Because what's happening now is they're overflowing. Where they're when I say overflowing, it's creating a scroll bar that we need to use. But if we're in a yeah.
Oh, and Sammy points out, you're like, y'all are making this sound fun, and we are, but it gets kind of less fun where you're like, oh, I have a vision in my brain. And this is something I actually wanted to, because Sammy's being real cool. You're like, oh, you know what? This can be challenging. Like when you're gonna swear, sometimes and Sammy's not saying that you would swear, but sometimes when I'm swearing to myself at the computer, it is CSS. It's my relationship with CSS. And one thing I want to point out is I've had some learners in the forum and in the chat say, oh, you know what? I've got my vision here and I'm 98% or I'm 90% there. And I just want to keep going. I keep going. I keep going. This sounds very much like grief counseling, but can we talk about acceptance in programming and especially in front? Because you can have when somebody says, I'm 90% of the way there, this looks 98% the way I want it to do, I'm saying, fantastic, go away. No, go away. Ooh. Like, you're done. Have a nice day. Walk away from the keyboard.
Yeah, this is, I don't know if this is, I think this is tangentially related, but this is something that we experienced a lot in the JavaScript bootcamp, where it's very easy and tempting at the big, especially as you're starting out in your journey, because this happened to me, to get frustrated because things don't click 100%. Something like regular expressions, not to bring us back there too much, but or recursion where where I was introduced to it and I thought like, okay, I need to be able to use this 100%, understand it 100%. And it's very frustrating because you can kind of understand why it works, but you don't fully understand how it works. And then you start thinking like, am I just not good at this?
Wow. And I do hate to do an appeal to authority, but I'm going to appeal to a very specific authority here. I'm grabbing a link. You know what Barbara Oakley said about learning is that she said that it's functionally impossible to, in the very first time you experience something, to put that in your brain in a way that just magically works and works right away the first time. Are we racing to see if we can get this link first?
No. I'm I do have it here.
Oh, I've got the one from last year, but I want the one with our learners. No, not that the last lesson wasn't ours. On learning programming. And when I'm linking to this, I'm not saying that y'all need to watch this on a Saturday. Y'all need to go have a nice Saturday or else. It's very menacing. I don't have any actual threats to make. But Barbara Oakley talked to us about having an attention octopus in our head that only has so many arms. So you can only grab so many stuff. And that you need to, through repetition, build these links and really make these new concepts make sense.
Yeah.
And I like that seems so scary because it's like, oh, you've got an octopus in your brain. Already kind of weird. Yeah, with you. And you need to give it a chain. I was like, why? I arm it? Like give it a weapon? What are we doing? But that relaxed me so much. Like you're not supposed to. Your brain won't just like, oh dang, get it the first time. Ooh. Himanshu was suggesting, participating on hackathons while learning. And hackathons, I always say, go in with real light So these are, you want to talk about what a hackathon is while I add FlexWrap? Because FlexWrap is going to do something, and I bet our learners will just see it automatic. Ramon, what's a hackathon?
Yeah, a hackathon is an event that usually takes place over weekends where a group of programmers get together and just they split it into groups. There's usually a theme, and they say, hey, make us a program or a website or an app or a game based around this theme. And you usually have you have those 2 days to be able to do it. You hack and hack and hack it together as a group, and you build either a prototype or a proof of concept or even just an idea. And
Yeah, it's just like a messy side project crammed into a weekend.
oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I love them because it's an opportunity to learn something new, make some friends, learn and learn something from each other.
Some of them can be terribly competitive though. Like definitely go because some of them are like, we'll give you 10,000 local monies to bit with. Nah. For learners, definitely look for something. But if you want to go, I'm too old for them because sometimes they used to be in person. And the vibe in person was always stay awake for 24 hours and be like, no, like y'all have a nice time. I'm going to go take a shower.
It's a great way to team up with people who probably, know more about a certain topic than you and say like, hey, can you, like pair with me, for example, on making
Yeah.
JavaScript promises, for example.
And Devji pointed that out. We're like, it's good if you've got those basic skills and you want to sort of preview those advanced skills. And if you're like, get in a team, get in a team with people who are chill. Like, look at social media before, see who's going. Yeah, you want to. Oh, not sick, just old. So what happened when we added wrap? What's this doing now?
Yeah. So now it's saying, hey, if the number of items is big, makes the width of the item bigger than the container, then we will just start a new row.
Yeah. So like, and here the container is really what's our viewport got? Like, hey, we've got as much space as the viewport. Abby Lynn, I am very careful not to pick on individual learners. I'm gonna pick on you. I adore you. I adore all of my learners. Sorry, y'all don't belong to me, your own people. Do not stay awake for 52 hours. Absolutely not, my love. So I understand running hackathons is so stressful, but it's terrible for you. There is no hackathon that is more important than you taking good care of yourself. Rrr, 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 rrr. Gonna check our code. Oh, what? Yeah, and that's fine. Sorry to be mean to you.
Nice.
I would fuss at any of y'all who's like, anybody who said, oh, I'm gonna stay awake for more than 18 hours. I'd be like, why? Why? Like,
I can't
existence
do
is
that.
pain. Take a nap.
I I think I had a very long day yesterday and I had a very long sleep and I'm feeling wonderful right now.
Good, because I can fuss at you much more often than I can fuss at an individual learner. If you were like, I stayed awake for no, you live like 90 minutes away. I could come shake you. So justify content says
Yes.
this is another flexy type concept. It says, hey, cool. We're going to set some rules about how many items we put in a flex container and how they're positioned along the main axis. So here the main axis is horizontally. Abby, you're doing this 3 times a year.
Ooh.
You can help with hackathons and still sleep. Are you very young? Because when I was a babby, I'd be like, I'm 20, back in like the 1920s. Oh yeah, I'm young and immortal, and I don't need to sleep. Get some good sleep, babes. Or else, I don't know what or else I would be terribly disappointed. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what an old lady on the internet being disappointed is supposed to do. We're going to center this along our main axis, which I think is going to be horizontal. Want to check and see what that's going to feel like? Oh, it doesn't feel like a heckin' thing.
Shall we?
Oh, but it does
Yes, there we go.
for the ones on the bottom. Oh, Abby makes a really compelling point. So Abby's saying these hackathons are for under 18 kids. So you're the adult on it. That's act. I was just like, ha ha ha, there's no exceptions. You must sleep. I insist on it. Nah, safeguarding sometimes means that you get to stay awake. Oh, thank you. That's lovely for you to do. I hope you get a good long weekend after that. Not just going back into the office. Where I was like, ha ha ha, there's no exceptions. And you're like, but this. I'm like, that's an exception. So we're going to align items set to center. Okay, so we're going to vertically center these as well. Align. So here, justify
Mhm.
content says, do this across our main axis.
Yep.
And our main axis by default is row. So horizontally. So stretchy baby wise.
Mhm.
But we could have set that to column,
Yep.
tall baby wise. Very technical terms. And that would have centered it vertically. And here, so flex direction is justify content is along the main axis, the one we set. Align items is going to be around the secondary axis or the cross axis. And here in this case, that would be vertical. And you say, Jess, none of that went in my brain. Cool. That is not a big deal. That is so chill. You will forget which ones these are. And it's fine. I forget all the time and it hasn't killed me yet. Let me go ahead and get this out so we see what it feels like. Just centering them both ways.
So it should probably not make
Not
too
too
much of a
much, yeah.
difference.
I'm not seeing any difference because it's
And I
already.
believe, yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh, I think we pretty much already had what it was going to do, which is we've already clicked this into. Yeah, like there's no place for it to be centered.
Yeah, I think it's because this could be a hunch. I mean, it is a hunch. I think it's because we're already filling up the the vertical space with our
Yeah,
items. So in a sense, they're already both top, middle, and bottom aligned,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
it does. And if it doesn't, don't worry. We're just going to do this until it sticks.
Yeah.
Malik's got a really good question that lets me take away from, because here I'm going to add a padding property. We've done this a bunch of times. It's
Ooh.
going to be fun. Let's lovingly pick on Malik for a second, saying, you know what, I've got these skills. I'm good at HTML and CSS and JavaScript, but I'm a little bit hesitant. How do I just do the thing? Can I? Oh! I found a weird. So, what's the name of that IKEA shark? And this seems like such a weird
Blahaj, I think.
Blahaj.
I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but I know exactly the one you mean, the one from Sarah.
Yeah, are you gonna race me to try and find it?
I'll try.
I'm gonna find a very cute project. And the way, because I'm mean all the time, the way you got it first?
I think
I
so.
love how everybody's like, Blash! Was it .xyz?
Yes.
Oh gosh, you got it first. So, what I'm gonna recommend is it's not necessarily, you don't have to do this project, but I really like this because, XYZ. Oh, Jess, how do letters work? Let's see if this is the right address. Yes. So here is a reasonably itty-bitty project that Sarah Vieja made, and she's so nice and she's so good. And I like this because she's got her code here on GitHub. And this is and the reason I'm suggesting start here is I want you to find something that is reasonably small and scoped and cool. So what Sarah's done is say, hey, I made a little web app that shows me little shark babies going to work and relaxing in the park. So this is a web app. We've got HTML and JavaScript here, I bet. We can go to the GitHub and have a look. So one thing I like to do is, oh, cool, I think I've got the skills, and this is really common. This isn't just you, Malik. We're not just picking on you. This is often called tutorial hell. So I've done a bunch of tutorials. I'm comfortable with tutorials. How do I break out? So I like to say, find a project you think is cool. And oh gosh, it doesn't have to be this. I like this one just because I've recently seen it and I think Sarah's cool. But here's a project. I can fork this because we got an MIT license. That's okay. What if I just said, hey, get a copy of this and replace the pictures with something else?
Yeah.
I want to pipe in pictures of puppies.
For example?
Yeah, 90%. And then I say, okay, close this project. You've successfully made it puppies. What kind of small scope down thing could you do with that? You could go look if you did. You say, oh, I want to go and get a thing. and pipe it in and show what kind of similar process could you build from scratch. You probably don't want to pick pictures, but can I go get a YouTube video about a keyword and put it on the page? Yeah. So I like to say, oh, what's a little thing that I've seen recently where I can look at the code? I
Ooh, sorry, Jess. But yeah, what Jess is getting at is sort of like, take something that take something like this, make it your own, make it something that works for you, something that on your daily life, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to turn into a grand, multi-billion user app. It can be just something that works for you, maybe. So, and you can scope it to however you like. I've seen, for example, friends of mine who are fans of TV shows like, gosh, what is it called? Shira.
oh yeah, that was the whole internet was yelling about that for a while.
Yeah, apparently it's really good. I haven't gotten to using it, to watching it myself, but they made a quote generator.
Oh yeah. And we've got some other suggestions here that I absolutely love. So Catherine, who is always just the picture of reasonableness, is like, well, what about your own little project? Something you're into enjoy. Yeah, like I recommend here's something to start from and then laddering that out. But if you're like, oh dang, I'm gonna make a cute, small, weird thing. And Johanna's always practical. It's like, well, what if you took like something you have to do at work all the time and automated it?
Yep, yep. That's how I've heard that's how a lot of folks start programming.
Look, I am so lazy that I switched my job to go work for an automation company where I'm just like, oh, y'all, oh, I could work for the place that lets me not do chores. Yeah, yeah. I mean, different chores now in it. Yeah. Oh gosh, and Kinjal makes a really good point to say, hey, you know what? The projects that we're building, could you, and this is such a good question. Could you just like take those and continue to build more and more stuff into them?
I love that. So yeah, and it can be something that, for example, things like, I think it was last year when everybody was having those end of year, what do they call, like end of year wrap ups of their what they listen to, what music they listen to, and somebody's like, hey, what if I made one that shows me, for example, what kind of pictures I've been taking on my phone, or what kind of GitHub stuff I've been doing.
The GitHub one was my coworker.
Really?
Harshal made that. He's so smart and he's so cool. Let me see if I can find it. What was it called? Like GitHub Wrapped?
I think it was GitHub Wrapped.
And we've got a thing at work where is oh gosh, no, it looks like multiple people did this. I might have lied. Or I didn't lie because he's definitely done it. He's very, very cool.
GitHub Wrap.
Oh, cool. And he even wrote he even did a write. I wonder if it's okay to link to what he did. Yeah. He wrote so
everybody was talking about, like, I don't know, different kinds of wrapped stuff. Yeah.
this is kind of complicated though, because we've got like Cloudinarian APIs and GraphQL stuffs, and but if you want complicated stuff, well, medium complicated, Harshal, yeah, we have time every week to work on projects that touch the technology. He was like, I'm gonna make this.
That's super cool.
I always want to brag about him. He's just such a smart and interesting young man. Do you know what? Let's do one more of these. I'm
Sounds good.
always super, super mean to the learners. And I'm always like, well, I refuse to do the whole thing because it's kind of important to do some of them on your own. So object fit. Ooh. So object fit. So you pointed out earlier,
yeah,
some of our images are, and do you know what? Do you know what I worry about sometimes with us teaching, and more specifically me, is I'm teaching a bunch of these learners technical terms that do not exist, where I'm like, oh yeah, you need to go get one of your pointy babies and make sure you got a closing pointy baby. Which is, you know what? Nobody in tech, do we have because like I hear pointy braces. I think they're technically called chevrons, which I've really never heard.
I've heard the name, but
Is it me saying, "Oh, dang, did you know these are called chevrons?"
it was, but I also have memories from when I was making mobile apps, and they had to use those for a back button. So
Ah.
I
Oof. Oh,
I
that's
think it's I think
the
Apple at some
dim
point
days.
introduced those. Yeah.
So here we've got the object fit property.
Yep.
And this is obviously not a technical way to describe this. I'm so sorry, but this is how my brain works. When I think about object fit is I'm going to set the rules for squishing things to not squish them weird.
I think that makes sense. I think that's a good way to put it.
And here, this is saying, well, you know what? This is about the aspect ratio. Um, an aspect ratio is a much nicer way to say, don't squish it weird.
Yep.
And if we go back to step one, actually, there's nothing stopping us. Actually, I can't be bothered. Remember when we set, no, I'm just lazy. If we go back to one, we actually, yes, I know we've seen it. Oh, I'm lying. When we go back to three, we set an aspect ratio here, didn't it?
Mm,
For the whole of our page,
yeah.
where we said, hey, make the width of our content the width of the viewport.
Yeah. The
And
viewport
make
being
this,
the size of the browser. Yeah.
yeah. Which if you're on mobile, that's the size of your screen, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're on a watch, that's a much tiny bit. And then we said the initial scale is 1.
Yeah.
And this is cool because we're saying, hey, don't squish it weird or don't stretch it weird.
And we can do the same with our images.
Yeah. Let's come back. Oh, heck, where were we?
I
Oh,
think it was
where
step
am I?
16.
Take a deep breath all the way down. Step 17 sounds okay. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
So we're going to squish these without squishing them weird using
Mhm.
the object fit. And y'all, when you go into interviews, just always listen, always parrot back the language you've heard from Ramon. Nothing I've told you. You're like, oh yeah, I want to get an extra wiggly baby. No. I will endeavor to stop being such a weirdo someday.
Well, that's if I may, like I'd love to actually push for saying, like, when you're doing coding interviews and this sort of thing, absolutely speak out your thinking process, especially
Oh
when
yeah.
you're like as you explain what you're doing, folks can see how you apply the your understanding, and how you have space, have a motivation for learning, and that sort of thing, for sure.
Oh, are you suggesting that streaming might be a really, really good way to practice sort of pair programming or the way you might talk through your process as you go through an interview?
Absolutely.
But one thing I really want to put is there's this like wait, let's do this first. Let's see what cover means. And then let's talk about sort of whether or not you need to promote yourself and have a public face to work as a developer. Because I don't think you do. And it feels counterintuitive, like while we're streaming to say, you don't need to do this stuff to be a good programmer, even though there's a lot of sort of social pressure that makes it sound like you do.
Yeah, that's super relevant topic. I'm
Yeah.
all for that.
Object fit. What is cover gonna do? Oh dang.
Oh,
Oh,
that looks so
oh.
fancy.
So this is telling the image to fill the image container and look at this while maintaining the aspect ratio. So we can barely see it, but we're getting a little bit of extra buffer here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So maintaining the aspect ratio is the normal person's way to say, don't squish this weird. So
So
maintain,
yeah,
yeah,
instead of squishing, we're sort of cropping, or just
yeah.
like chopping off bits of the photo so we can get sort of the main content in there.
Kinjal,
Kinjal, yeah.
my heart. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Is this exact same thing as background size cover? Yes, it is the same, but it's in Flexbox. So it's like, do it inside the box. Do it inside the, oh no, I want to find a different way to say the little jail we've made for this specific content. Um, mm, do it inside the playground that we've built.
Oh, I like that.
Whew. Oof. I've got a lot of school as jail allegories in my head, and that is definitely a separate conversation. Let's get our little green stripe here and the joy it contains. oh, like a
The
little cot.
little cot.
Oh, like, okay, here's where we're going to be taking naps.
I love that.
Um, so let's take a look at this. You've only got one, two, only. I say, leaving you to the wolves to do it. There's 4 more little lessons right here.
Wonderful.
It's not the worst thing, and you don't have to do it on a Saturday. I'm not going to do any more of this on a Saturday. For those of you in the web development bootcamp, we did some more of this. We started the tribute page, and we're going to learn about pseudo selectors on Monday. You say,
Awesome.
wow, yay. I'm like, well, it's not the most fascinating, but we're going to build a balance sheet, and that should be chill.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for this, Jess.
No, gosh,
Could
thank you
I
for being so patient.
Oh no, not at all. Could I maybe for the JavaScripters show
Yeah.
them where we're gonna start on Monday if
Do
I
it, do
may?
it, do it. And if anybody's joining the stream and you're not in the boot camp, that's fine. Like, we're delighted to have you. But
Absolutely.
if you wanted, while you're getting that up, if you wanted a little bit of background, we teach free programming boot camp. So I'm teaching WebDev. Ramon is teaching JavaScript. You're super welcome to join us. We're about halfway through, so there'd be a lot of catch up. We don't have. Oh, you've beat me to it. Um,
Sorry.
we don't have dates on the future boot camps yet, but I'm reasonably sure we want to keep doing these. Like, and it's so selfish of us. The learners are like cool and weird, like cool and weird. And this is what I hope my boss isn't watching, but this is just the most rewarding thing that I get to do with my time right now.
Absolutely.
Maria, you say you're stuck on step 20. We've got 2 different boot camps and a bunch of different lessons. Can you let me know? Oh gosh, that's you're stuck on step 20 of CSS. Let's dip
Oh,
into which way would be the best way to do this?
sure. I'll just quickly say for JavaScripters on Monday we're gonna start with debugging. So everything before that we'll have done already. Regular expressions, basic JavaScript, ES6, all done. We're starting with debugging on Monday. I believe on Tuesday we're gonna do basic data structures, and on Wednesday we're gonna do another project. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do the Caesar cipher.
Oh,
So
what's the Caesar cipher?
it's an encryption trick. So to be able to hide messages in plain sight. So that's gonna be super fun. So I'll pass it back. Is it okay if I reshare your screen,
Yeah, yeah,
Joyce?
yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, Renato was saying, and so was asking, oh, do you know if this boot camp we really wanted to, and this is something where you said, oh, is it impossible to do both of this? It's so hard to do both of these at the same time, my lovely. I'm so sorry. We kind of designed them to do them one at a time. I think that, and no promises, I think that we're going to arrange the way we run boot camps in the future to not keep you from it, but to more gently encourage doing just one at a time, because
Yeah,
it's a lot.
it is a
Even
lot.
one of these in 6 weeks, it's a lot. Kasha, good morning, my lovely. So let's do. And the other thing is, you can come back at any time. We've got all the videos. None of your progress on Free Code Camp is going to go away, and those videos are always going to stick around. And the Discord's still going to be there, and the forum's still going to be there. Like, we're not going to abandon you, my loves.
Absolutely not.
Ah, dang! Create a media query. I always forget how to do a media query. Is it media?
I
Feels like
think it's
media.
at media. I'm gonna look it up just to
Is
have it
it
here.
at media and then Wiggly Babies? Yeah. Oh, Starlight. Right. Right. I'm so sorry. We just there are absolutely, if you go into the thing, or if you go into your email, there's ways to say, please stop emailing me. I'm done. And do you know what? I did that. Uh, like, I'm running the web down, and I'm just like, dude, I don't need these emails from me. I'm good. I'm reasonably sure I get it. Oh, but I have a really easy day. So some of y'all are heading off. That's super chill. Been here for an hour and a half. So
So we're doing a media query.
media. Are you gonna race me to the MDN?
Oh, I've already got it. Here, shall
I was
I
gonna say, because
put it
I
into the chat?
yeah. And actually, oh, yeah. Oh God, Gamey McGain is like, you know what? I actually did the circuit back in the day, and just doing some review. Yeah, that is
Awesome.
so laid back. Oh, y'all are just telling me. Okay, so y'all are telling me the answer.
Shall we?
Now? No, I'm gonna be mean. You're like, shall we talk our way through? No, we're not letting them off the hook this easily.
Oh,
Why? So I'm going to be typing this out. Y'all, go ahead and let me know what's going on here.
Yeah,
So, and we got a
love it.
little bit of a delay, so we get to waffle as we go. So media, we y'all are like, it's not those curly braces, these smooth braces. Media max. So when we do a media query, that's us yelling at the browser to be like, hey, here's our CSS rules. Oh, damn. Oh, dang. If you see somebody who's got this deal, I
Yeah,
got separate rules for them.
yeah, exactly.
So it's like if you're running a nightclub, obviously, very relatable sort of example. All of us have run nightclubs. You say, okay, here's the rules for the nightclub. You gotta wait in line, yada da da da. But I run a bad nightclub, so I've got different rules for the VIP. So okay, here's the rules for my nightclub. You got to wait in line. I've got a weird nightclub where you can't be messing on your phone in the nightclub. But you know what? I own the nightclub. Rules don't apply to me. So I'm saying, okay, well, here's the rules for my nightclub. Oh, dang. But if Jess shows up, here's the separate rules for Jess.
I like that. I like that. Separate, like, no, that makes, I think that's a great way to put it. It's like separate rules for different circumstances. So if somebody shows, for example, if somebody shows up and they have a phone that they have a browser window that's 800 pixels or wide or bigger. No, sorry, that's up to 800 pixels because it's in this max width. Then we can define an extra CSS rule that will only apply in that context.
Yeah.
If I were to move it over to JavaScript, I don't know why I do that, but bear with me. I kind of think of it as an if statement.
Oh, nice. Oh, programming logic.
Does it make more sense to start with the mobile and then just add a media query for tablets and desktop? Or would you say we should work on desktop first and move to mobile? This is an excellent question because it's something
Right?
that I've actually internally and with colleagues debated on. And I would say, and this is an annoying answer to give, and I apologize in advance, but
Say it, say it, say it, say it depends. Say it depends.
it depends because if it were me starting, I think more important than doing one or the other is being consistent. So if you pick one,
Oh.
stick with it because it can be
Oh, I'm gonna disagree.
really okay.
Yeah, let's find. So, and this is gonna, and we've got somebody who's like, "Hey, can y'all keep to the topic a little bit more of the each?" Never feel weird asking for stuff like this. Fortunately for us, unfortunately for some of you, the Saturday social is deep chill chaos, whereas the core lessons Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are much more do 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 do
Yeah.
do. So if you want more programming, less philosophically, perhaps come and join us during the week, my love. So can we talk really briefly about hang on, let's answer this and then sorry, let's answer this and then I want to talk about mobile only users and
Yeah.
really what you're building and what you design for first. So here, and we've had absolutely brilliant, lovable, wonderful learners. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Maria said, "Oh, cool." And Maria, you're perfect. Look at this. You're like, I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely had the understanding right. I knew what I was doing, but just had a little tiny syntax thing. And do you know what? I can't even see where the syntax issue is. Oh, you had written media screen. You're perfect. That's just a syntax error. You absolutely know what's going on. And syntax errors, they're so annoying, aren't they? But they can't hurt you. That's just your brain taking an extra minute to be like, wait, it was this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had all of the logic correct. What? Medium. Yeah. Oh, bop, 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 bop.
Oh, we need
Uh,
to do that for the gallery specifically.
yeah. Me saying, "Oh, don't worry if you get the syntax wrong." I didn't even read the instructions. The image, and then it's like the Wiggly Babies inside the Wiggly Babies, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm a terrible teacher in a bad where it was like Wiggly Babies. Ah, that's
Nice.
fine. That's fine. Everything's fine. Um, So yeah, if it's not a bother, I'm really excited to talk to mobile only use. And if you're in the
Yeah.
chat right now, if you're on a phone, can you say, "Hey, just let me know you're watching this on. And do you know what? If you're doing this course from a phone, if you're doing the course from the phone, come and let me know in either the forum, or if it's not a bother, it's already exhausting being on a phone. But just because I'm really, really interested in how we can make the course, or how we can make this work easier if we can, for folks on mobile devices.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and this is going to get very political very quickly. Oh, look, leaning in. Um, brr. We in tech, we talk a lot. People on the web talk a lot about the next billion users. And these are folks who are coming onto the web for the first time in their lives, which is so exciting. But we've got a web that is really poorly designed and poorly supported for these learners. When we talk about folks who are coming onto the web for the first time, demographically overall, they tend to be folks in developed economies. They tend to be mobile only users, which means
Yep.
the primary, and in almost all cases, the only device they're going to be using to access the web is going to be, device wise, it's going to be a mobile phone. It's going to be Android, and it may be second or third hand. So it's not going to be terrifically high specs.
Yep.
So we say, hey, should I go ahead and set these rules? Should I? And when we ask, should I do the rules for mobile users first and make desktop an exception? I was delighted by this, because who are your users is one question.
Yep.
But then, who could your users be if they were better supported?
Oh, I like that.
We talk a lot about accessibility. I think it's right and just to talk about accessibility when we talk about disability and device needs and assistive technology. And I love that. But talking about accessibility for these users who are often overlooked and these users who are often locked out. And this is going to be so controversial that I'm just going to hint about it, because Ramon, I'm not doing a heckin' thing. You've got a double feature on Monday, don't you? Like, you're
Not
teaching.
this Monday, but the Monday after.
Oh, heck. So Monday the
7th.
7th,
Yeah.
you're going to be teaching JavaScript. Delightful. And then we're
Yeah.
going to have Stuart Language coming on right after that. And he's going to be coming in to talk about the controversy when you don't need JavaScript.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like this when we talk about these mobile only users, and we talk about like really the global range of users, because we say, gonna make this website. I'm going to use, and I'm just going to pick a framework. I'm not picking on any. I'm going to use React for this website. It's like, cool. What you're really saying is, I'm going to make this website, and my users are going to have to go and have to really download, in a very literal sense, all of the information that they would need for this framework.
Yep.
And in so many times, it's not just, can you do this with plain old JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, and say, hey, don't take the extra load of using Angular or using Ember, and don't worry if you've never heard of these before. They all programming concepts are imaginary. They can't hurt you yet. When you go to work, they can hurt you. But say, oh, cool. What if we didn't use a framework here? And then sort of the galaxy brain version of that is, what if we didn't use any JavaScript at all? What if we, because HTML is super lightweight, isn't it? It's really performant, which means it does good work and isn't heavy. It's not big to download. And
Yep.
CSS does the same thing. And even then, even if we don't talk about JavaScript, saying, hey, do your images need to be super, super big and detailed? What if, and we'll learn about this in the web later, what if we had a
Awesome.
quality fallback?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, do you need to auto load these videos? Oh, I bet you don't.
Do you
Um,
need to? Sorry.
oh, no, 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 no. Never be sorry. I mean, well, until the first day in your life you do a bad thing.
Do you need 4 fonts? 4 different fonts. Fonts are
They're heavy
chunky. Yeah.
babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I love this question because, like, does it make sense to? And it's not just, is this the way I arrange my code? I love this question from Kinjal. So, is this the way I arrange my code? Isn't just, do I write this first? But it's also who am I designing? Like, this code is a reflection of my mental model. Where do I start from? And how, like, who is my default and who are the exceptions? Is really a trade-off we make, whether or not we recognize it, to say, what if I design for mobile users first and then add extra for folks who've got this? Love it, love it, love it all. And Kinjal makes a really good point. And we won't talk too much about this, but say, oh, cool. Vanilla HTML and CSS. So stuff like cross-site scripting attacks are something we could definitely talk about. The challenge is that the security is reasonably specific. And I don't feel super confident offering security advice. So I'd say definitely read about these things. I also come at this from a community management. If you give somebody a text box, like, we love people, we trust people, we don't trust people on the internet.
No.
So if you give people the opportunity to give you some text, whether it's cussing or giving you malicious code, somebody will try and act wrong. Protect. Oh, Anthony, you went to We Are Developers JavaScript conference, and was that the one Stuart spoke at, or was that someone else at the conference talking about using as little? I hear so many nice things about this conference. I'm just going to cheat and see if I can find. That's the 2021 JavaScript. Just checking to see if I can find the video and who's the speaker on that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only available to attendees. I'm not going to see it. Oh, look at all these very, very interesting people. Oh gosh, you know what? Maybe if I'm feeling a lot more confident, I might go this year. Oh, Trisha is such a nice. Sorry, I'm just, y'all, that is not helpful at all for learners where I'm like, oh, he spoke. I love him. He's such a nice dude. Oh, and Anthony's pointing out, well, it was a bunch of different speakers talking about this at this conference. And I love that you've got a JavaScript conference, y'all do JavaScript, and you're like, what if we did a little bit less JavaScript? Is very,
and I think
very
what it points,
relaxing.
and I think, sorry,
No, no, no.
I think what it points to is the fact that just like any other tool, JavaScript is one that you don't have to use for everything. It's just a tool that's right for the job that you need it for, but it doesn't mean that it has to be applied to every job, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. And I love this because true expertise, and you can get true expertise super early, but like being confident enough with a tool to know when you don't need it. Oh, how
Mm.
powerful. It's like deleting code, but next level,
Yeah.
isn't it? Where you're like, ha ha ha, or just ha ha ha. Like, I'm not even gonna write you. Or
And so many of the advancements in CSS that we've gotten things like Flexbox and Grid make having something like JavaScript. I think there were old JavaScript frameworks that would sort of do this flex-like thing for you that
yeah.
aren't necessary anymore, and that's really powerful.
Ooh, do you want to get controversial? Do you want to get mean?
Please.
One thing I'm seeing more and more is folks are building extra layers of complexity on top of these built-in tools. And some of it are, oh, we built a JavaScript framework. And I'm like, cool. We got a bunch of those. Why?
Mm-hmm.
And some of them can be really powerful and really good. But there's a bunch of sort of frameworks that are sitting on top of CSS that are very popular right now. And they're like, you don't have to write. Is one of them like, well, I'm not going to name any because I don't want to get yelled at. But some of them are like, oh, you don't have to write CSS. You can write this way or that way instead. I'm like, well, just why? Like, some
What
of
I
them are
like
like, yeah, oh, please.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, like, what I like about taking the time to learn things like CSS is that when I eventually run into trouble with my framework that's built on top of CSS, for example, is I'll have an idea of what's going on that will help me debug it.
Yeah. I'm going to come in because there's a really good practical question. And we're saying,
Oh.
hey, oh, and look at this. Of course, like, the job, I hear such good things about the JavaScript work. But can you get a job working with only HTML and CSS and working with the DOM elements? Yes. So, and I want to talk about this because tech jobs are not just, I'm a blah blah developer. Because you're not a full-time dev. Wait, where's the pointy? You're not a full-time dev.
No.
And I'm not a full-time dev. So there's a ton. So first thing I'm going to say is I've managed. I've got a call with one next week. I've worked with a really fantastic. I've worked with multiple really fantastic front end devs who do CSS and do HTML, and that's what they do, and they're great at it, and they have jobs in it, and it's great. Yes, you can be a front end developer. You can be a developer working with just HTML, CSS, and DOM elements. But you don't just have to be. So if you're working in technical marketing, if you're working in content, if you're working in, oh gosh, do you know what? You would be a hero in a nonprofit role if you had HTML and CSS.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
right. So, like, there's tons and tons of places where you're able to say, cool, this job involves using a lot of this. And you don't have to be a dev if you don't want to. Technical writer who does HTML and CSS, way, you're
Yeah.
magical.
Yep.
And I both want to encourage you, yes, you can absolutely be a developer. A lot of front end dev roles these days, like junior roles, will ask you to know, because I don't want to lie. A lot of them ask, we want you to have some JavaScript. We want you to have some framework experience. So if you want to be if you're just getting into the field and you want to get started as a junior developer, you're probably going to want some JavaScript and you're probably going to want some framework experience. But if you hate it, which will be no fault of your teacher, if you're like, I'm not that into it, you can absolutely continue to focus on the HTML and CSS side and deepen your experience there. But there's a lot of roles where just having the HTML and CSS is going to be fantastic. Yeah.
That's very well put.
Do you know what? We have been bothering these nice folks for a million years, and it's your Saturday. Because I'm much older than you and very mean, I'm gonna give you homework.
Me or the
Well,
learners?
like everybody, if
Oh,
you can hear my voice, you have homework. You say, "Oh, Jess, but I'm not in the boot camp." I don't care. If you're part of the WebDev folks, if you get a chance and you can wrap up the last couple of lessons in the Flex, that's cool. But you don't have to do it this weekend. That's not a biggie. My homework for everybody, which is my homework all the time, is, and it's not just the rest of the day today, it's for the rest of the weekend. Y'all are absolutely morally required to. There's an imperative behind being as gentle to yourselves as you can, Ramon.
oh, I'm
And that means logging off and not doing any more work this weekend.
cross my heart.
Ooh, look at that. Y'all are seeing Ramon lie out, and not just
I'm
lying
not
to
lying.
me, lying to the learners.
I would never. I
Ooh,
would
so
never.
now that I have applied a robust amount of guilt to everybody, it's the weekend. If you do have, because a lot of people have to work over the weekend, I totally get that. But as much time for gentlessness for yourselves as you've got, do that. Abby's saying, "Ha ha ha!" I laugh all the time when you talk about I'm much older, uh, but I'm spiritually the meanest old lady on the block. Like, rrr, rrr, rrr. Um,
Mm-mm.
Do you know what? In that case, I will ease up on the because I'm older, because I'm meaner. Mm, mm. I will let all of you have the easiest possible weekends, and I will rededicate myself to patrolling the internet and making sure that Ramon isn't doing any work that I can see. If y'all see him doing anything that looks like work, yell at him.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Look at this. This is targeted online harassment. Oh gosh, it is. But just be like, Ramon, log off.
I
Ramon, go
plan
to
on
the
taking
park.
it. I'm gonna go on a walk in about an hour. It's gonna be wonderful.
All right. I'm going to let all of you go. I'm going to let you go as well. Thank you so much for letting me be mean to you.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Jess, for taking the time to be with us and to just
Be
encouraging
mean.
us all to take it easy.
All right. Bye, my lovelies. We'll see many of you Monday.
Take it easy,